Hello everyone. I'm a new blogger. Starting today, I'd like to tell you the story of one a week. When it comes to the Han Dynasty, the first impression must be one of strength and abundance of martial virtues. The Han Dynasty really deserves the name of a strong Han Dynasty. And in the 400 years of the Han Dynasty, there were a lot of talents. Even the achievements of some minor figures would have been a dazzling presence in other dynasties. The legend of one man destroying a country is a legend that would go down in history in other dynasties. But in the Han Dynasty, it's nothing. The man who is going to appear on stage today is the character who created such a miracle. His name is Fu Jiezi, a name that many people have never heard of. But his number one fan, who is familiar to everyone, is Ban Chao, who swept across the West. A little man who existed in a time of splendor. Like a shooting star, will eventually be proud of that moment of fame. Today, let's learn about the legend created by a man who was famous in his time, but is unheralded today. Fu Jiezi, a native of Ban County, was born in an unknown year. When he was a young man, he joined the army and was promoted to an official position because of his meritorious service. There were once again provocateurs in the otherwise stable western regions, and this time, the Han court decided to send another emissary to deal with the matter. In the 4th year of Yuan Feng, Fu Jiezi introduced himself to General Huo Guang, saying,
Loulan and Jiezi, these small countries are capricious. It is not enough to be condemned. They need to be made aware of the power of the Great Han, in order to be sufficient to deter other small countries. When I passed through Jiezi, I realized that their king was close to the crowd, and that it would be easy to go forward and assassinate him. If such a great general has not yet been chosen, I would like to go ahead and assassinate him, thus establishing the prestige of the Great Han in all countries.
Guang pondered for a moment before saying,
I think your idea is feasible. But the Turtle Kingdom is a long way away, so I'd better try how to go to Loulan for the time being.
Huo Guang then petitioned Emperor Zhao Di of Han to send Fu Jiezi to go there. And Emperor Zhao Di of Han then used Fu Jiezi's rewarding of the countries as the reason for his mission to the western regions. This time, when Fu Jiezi went on his mission, he only brought a dozen or so elite soldiers, and a few heavy carts of gold, silver, and coins. They traveled all the way at dawn and at night, and it was not long before they came to Loulan, when Angui, the king of Loulan, heard that this time the Han Dynasty had sent Fu Jiezi. He remembered his own previous humiliation. Without letting Fu Jiezi and the others enter the city at all, he simply tried to send Fu Jiezi away. When Fu Jiezi saw that the king of Loulan did not treat him well, Fu Jiezi did not get angry and pretended to take his men and horses and left. Upon reaching the western border of Loulan, Fu Jiezi flirted with the Loulan king's emissary who had followed him all the way.
This envoy came originally by His Majesty's decree, bringing golden brocade to reward the kingdoms. When we first arrived at your place, we didn't expect that your king wouldn't let us enter the city at all. If you are so unwilling to be rewarded, then this ambassador will have no choice but to give this reward of yours to the other nations.
Fu Jiezi also opened the box immediately, so that the Loulan king's emissary had a great feast. When the messenger returned and informed the king of Loulan of the situation, the king of Loulan's bowels turned green with remorse. The king of Loulan, who coveted the Han Dynasty's possessions, immediately sent his men to welcome Fu Jiezi and the others back, and made a feast to apologize for his rudeness. At the banquet, the king of Loulan even let Fu Jiezi sit and drink with him, and the two of them had a good conversation. When the king of Loulan was drinking to his heart's content, Fu Jiezi whispered in the king of Loulan's ear,
Your Majesty, the Son of Heaven has sent me here not only to reward you for your possessions, but also to discuss some matters with your Majesty in private.
King of Loulan could not think about it in detail, so he got up and followed Fu Jiezi into the inner tent. While the two were talking alone, Fu Fu Jiezi took advantage of King Loulan's lack of defense and stabbed him to death from behind. Fu Jiezi raised his sword and cut off the head of the king of Loulan, returned to the banquet with his head, and then threw it on the ground. At the banquet, the nobles of the Loulan kingdom and the officials on the left and right were all scared to death by this scene, and no one fled or raised their voices. Fu Jiezi looked at them and shouted righteously.
The king of Loulan has wronged the Han Dynasty. The Son of Heaven has sent this envoy to kill him. Now that the king of Loulan is dead, you should support the crown prince, who used to stay in Han as a hostage, to become the new king, and should not have any more dissenting thoughts. The Han army from the capital will be here soon, so don't act rashly. If there's any more dissent, it's not just your king that will be destroyed. It'll be your country.
A speech that caused the nobles and officials of Loulan to kneel on the ground and show their submission. After stabilizing the situation in Loulan, Fu Jiezi and the others returned to the capital to resume their duties with the head of the Loulan king. After successfully killing the king of Loulan, the next one should be the king of Jiezi. But the story came to an abrupt end after Jiezi was made Marquis of Yang, and the history books never followed.